welcome everyone to Talking Takeover for NXT Takeover War Games 2019. I have just finished the pay-per-view. Hell of a night for NXT. I mean, hell of a weekend for NXT too. I'm actually recording this review during Survivor Series, like literally as the show is going on. The only matchup that I've been able to see from Survivor Series is the women's elimination match, and NXT won that, so hopefully they can keep the ball rolling. I am cheering on Team NXT tonight, as I was cheering on every matchup here at NXT Takeover War Games 2019. So before I get into the initial review, I want to talk a little bit about NXT and how I've been watching it, which is honestly not that much, which is something that I feared when NXT went to USA and moved to 2 hours, was that it would be harder for me to digest it all week to week, especially since with my job right now, my schedules are changing, forever changing and always changing. So it's just kind of been harder to watch NXT and AEW, because honestly the only wrestling shows I watch right now are NXT, AEW, and Impact Wrestling. That last one might be a little surprising for you guys, but if you're not watching Impact Wrestling and you want good wrestling, check out Impact. It'll definitely give you your fill. But leading up to TakeOver, I kind of had to binge watch a lot of NXT, which was not a bad thing at all. NXT has been great ever since, and then they had the whole go-home angle with Raw and SmackDown superstars coming. I loved seeing Becky Lynch on NXT. Seth Rollins be on NXT was cool. The OC on NXT was awesome. Finn Balor coming back to NXT and turning heel was awesome. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to give my quick review as of late with NXT moving to the USA Network. But let's get into the show here. I'm actually watching like a little highlight reel package, because honestly, I did not take any notes at all during this show. But kicking off, we had a nice narration package by Shawn Michaels. Pretty cool, talking about NXT and talking about all the superstars and talking about War Games leading up to this matchup. Now, leading into the show, I didn't get to watch the show live. I had to rewatch it. But I did know that somebody attacked Mia Yim, meaning that she wouldn't be able to be in the War Games matchup, which immediately after hearing that, I was pissed off, because as you guys know, big fan of Mia Yim. I was bummed out to hear that not a lot of people liked her matchup with Shayna Baszler at TakeOver Toronto, which was very unfortunate, but I was happy that she was going to get another chance here in this War Games matchup. I saw an Instagram picture of her with like some cool face paint inspired by Bull Nakano, which looked cool, and then they said that she got attacked in the fucking parking lot, and that's how she got taken out of War Games, which fucking sucked. And literally when I watched the video of her backstage, the first person that I could make out was Dakota Kai, and I was like, you son of a bitch. Oh my god. And what that would lead into what happened later on. But yeah, the show started, everything was set. The first matchup was actually, even though Mia Yim was attacked, it seems as though Rhea Ripley needed a replacement, and so they chose Dakota Kai as the replacement partner, and so we had the women's War Games matchup starting us off. And, it was actually really good. The thing that I've had a problem with was that really the only interesting War Games matchup to me was the first one, I didn't think the second one was as good as the first one. These two here were both really, really freaking good. This one in particular. The match started off with Io Shirai and Candice LeRae. They had a lot of great back and forth, a lot of great moments. There was a moment during the matchup, I'm trying to remember. There was a lot of stuff that happened here, but there was a moment in the matchup when Candice was trying to go for a suicide dive. She got caught in the middle of the rings, and then Io Shirai delivered like 2 619s to her while she was in the middle part of the ring. But yeah, it was just a lot of great stuff. A lot of great weapons got introduced by Rhea Ripley later on. A lot of trash cans and steel chairs and stuff like that. And then the clock counted down, and then it came to Dakota Kai's turn to come out of the cage. She steps out of the cage, she takes a couple steps forward, and then she pauses, And then she runs back and kicks Tegan Nox in the face. And I was really glad that they did the heel turn so quickly, because one of my irks about this whole thing was that we were going to have another like month of like the retread of like who attacked Aleister Black or who attacked Hideo Itami, which apparently we'll never find out. But I'm really glad that they didn't draw this out for weeks and weeks. They just had the heel turn right here and Dakota Kai reveal herself. Although, I don't know, maybe we could be going for a double turn. Maybe Dakota Kai says, like, yeah, I attacked Tegan Nox, but I'm not the one that attacked Mia Yim. And then it turns out it was Rikishi for some reason. He just has a fetish for that now. But yeah, Dakota Kai attacks Tegan Nox in the cage and, like, rams the cage door into her leg, which basically leaves Rhea Ripley and Candice LeRae at, like, a 2-on-4 situation. And, like, meanwhile, while Tegan Nox is getting attacked, Dakota Kai is attacking her, like, Shayna Baszler is just laughing her ass off just watching this whole thing. So, yeah, Rhea gets in the ring, or Shayna gets in the ring, and it's basically a 4-on-1 advantage. Rhea and Candice are trying their best to stay alive here. Like, Candice is in one ring with Kaylee Ray and Io Shirai, and then Rhea Ripley's in the other ring getting attacked by Shayna Baszler, and Shayna like puts Rhea Ripley's arm in position to like stomp on it, and then she puts some handcuffs on her and is trying to handcuff her, and then Candice and Rhea get caught in the middle of the two rings, and this was kind of like one of those moments in like a war movie where like the heroes know they're outnumbered, but like they still say like, you know what, we're going to go at it anyway. Like, I feel like every War Games match so far has had that one moment where it makes it feel, like, very dramatic. Like, last year, it was the trench warfare where both teams got in the middle of the rings and started, like, attacking each other and punching each other. I remember there was a moment in the first War Games matchup that was like that, but I just can't remember. I'm pretty sure if I would think back more, I would be able to remember it. But I do like that each match has that kind of moment that makes it feel like a real war. But yeah, Rhea Ripley and Candice LeRae, they like try to stay alive, they try to fight it off, and then at one point, Io Shirai goes to the top of the cage, and it looks like she's going to hit a moonsault. And then Kaylee Ray stops Candice LeRae from coming after her, but Candice counters and reverses it into a reverse Rana off the top rope, which lays everybody out. And then Bianca Belair tries to lift Candice up into the KOD. Candice is able to counter and grabs Bianca Belair's hair as Io Shirai stands up on the cage. And then Io Shirai wipes out both Bianca Belair and Candice LeRae with a massive freaking... I was trying to remember what they called it. It's a moonsault, but they had like a special name for it. I think it was just like the Shirai salt, which is very dumb. But it was just a crazy freaking move. There was just a lot of great fucking moments in this match. But yeah, the 4-on-2 situation really made it special. The match came to an end. Rhea Ripley had like set up some chairs in the first ring, and she looked like she had something well at hand. And Rhea Ripley like sat up a trash can in the middle too, but then Rhea Ripley had to use the trash can to take out Kaylee Ray. And the finish of the match was actually pretty cool. I really liked it because I did not see it coming like this. So Shayna Baszler has Rhea Ripley in the chokehold, in like a sleeper hold. And Rhea Ripley takes the handcuffs that Shayna Baszler put on her and handcuffs Shayna Baszler to her. And then they're like kicking each other back and forth. Rhea Ripley goes down to one knee, and Shayna Baszler looks to deliver like a kick, but Rhea Ripley ducks, and that causes Shayna Baszler's arm to go like underneath her legs, which if you're a fan of Rhea Ripley, you know Rhea Ripley's finisher, the Riptide, involves getting her opponent's hand like underneath her leg. So basically Shayna just locked herself in for a Riptide, and Rhea Ripley ends the match by delivering the Riptide through the two chairs set up, and then pins the women's champion Shayna Baszler. So even at a 2-on-4 disadvantage, Rhea Ripley and Candice LeRae are able to win War Games. I thought it was a great freaking match. A lot of great moments. I like that they didn't beat it over the head, that this was the first women's War Games matchup. They mentioned it every now and then, but they didn't try and shove it down our throats like some other shows. But yeah, I thought it was a great matchup, great opening match. I'm happy that they went with the women's matchup to open the show. just because, I mean, both shows, they opened up the main card with the women's matchup here at War Games and then at Survivor Series. And hey, if you're not going to go on last, then you might as well go on first. And it was a great thing that they went on first here. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Mia Yim and Dakota Kai and Tegan Nox. And I guess this sets up Rhea Ripley to get another championship match against Shayna Baszler. That'll be interesting to see. We'll see where things go from there. But yeah, I definitely knew Dakota Kai was going to be turning on her team here. But yeah, I'm happy for that. Happy that it ended that way. Next up, we had Matt Riddle versus Finn Balor. No, we didn't. Why are my notes out of order here? Next up, we had Killian Dane versus Damian Priest. The Vampire Damian Priest versus Pete Dunne. And the best way I can describe this match is if you're playing like one of the wrestling games, the 2K games, not 2K20 because it's too fucking glitch filled, but if you're playing one of the 2K games in a triple threat match, you know, especially if you're playing with two other like actual people and not AI, you know how annoying it is to try and win a triple threat match because everyone is just always so close to each other and breaking up pinfalls and beating each other up with moves. That's basically how this matchup went. It basically consisted of all of them trying to like hit these big moves on each other, and like every time someone was close to a pinfall, one person would be there to break it up, and then another person would try to make a pinfall, and then another person would break it up. The big moments in the match, like I said, I didn't really take a lot of notes here during this pay-per-view. There were a lot of big moments in the match. There was a moment where Damian Priest knocked Pete Dunne to the outside, and he was wearing like Outsiders-themed gear, so he delivered the Razor's Edge to Pete Dunne onto the announcer's table. And then Killian Dane comes back and hits like a rolling cannonball through like a piece of the barricade that was just like randomly set up, because I rewatched it a couple times. There was no reason for this piece of barricade to be standing there, but it was a cool visual to see that. It may have just looked a little bit more brutal if it was one of the harder pieces of barricade, you know? That's kind of one of my gripes that I had with Finn Balor's heel turn with Johnny Gargano, was the drop kick through the barricade. Just didn't look that brutal, just because it's a thin piece of metal. I mean, I've fallen through a metal barricade like that before, and I did not get injured to the point where I had to be out of action, like Johnny Gargano. But then again, I'm not Johnny Gargano. He fell off that fucking cage through 2 tables, and that was brutal. So, anyways, I'm rambling on now. But yeah, those were 2 big moments in the match. And then there was the finish to the match, which consisted of Killian Dane. He had Damian Priest on the ground. And then Killian Dane gets locked in like a sleeper hold by Pete Dunne. So Damian Priest is still laying out on the ground, and Killian Dane is locked in a sleeper hold. Killian Dane still somehow delivers like a freaking running senton while Damian Priest is on the ground. And it's right after Pete Dunne hits like a friggin' bitter end. So Killian Dane hits Damian Priest with a running senton while Pete Dunne is on his shoulders. But Killian Dane rolls out of the ring, and Pete Dunne sneaks to get the win. So Pete Dunne wins and becomes the #1 contender to the NXT Championship. He will face Adam Cole, I think, as we speak right now, but I don't know the outcome to that matchup. I highly doubt Pete Dunne will win the NXT title, but I have no doubts it'll be a great match. Here we go. This is where I thought my notes were. Finn Balor versus Matt Riddle. Finn Balor, first time I think he's ever gone to a TakeOver event not dressed as the Demon, which was very interesting. It was very interesting to see him dressed like this. He came out to the ring and he did like the gun pose. That was pretty cool. You know, I'll be honest, didn't really care for this matchup. It was really great. I really freaking loved it. You can tell how much I loved it by the lack of notes I have written here. There's like 3 notes here where it's like, Finn Balor is real, and then I wrote down some of the moments of the match. So the moments that I have for the matchup were like Finn Balor was poised to hit like the shotgun drop kick, and Matt Riddle countered, and he hit him with the spear and jackhammer combination of Goldberg, which got him a 2 count. I thought that was pretty funny. And then like later on in the matchup, leading towards like the finish, we had Matt Riddle like trying to put away Finn Balor. He had him in the Bromission, and then like he delivers like a knee strike to him, and then he tries to go for like a ripcord knee strike, but then Balor quickly counters into the Bloody Sunday, the 1916, the Paradigm Shift, whatever you want to call it, the lift up DDT, and then Finn Balor is quickly able to pin him from there and get the win. So Finn Balor gets a big win, which is great. I had nothing wrong with it. I'm pretty sure I had Finn Balor winning in my predictions. What did I have? I had Team Rhea Ripley winning, and then I had and then I had Finn Balor winning. I'm pretty sure I had Pete Dunne winning as well. So far my predictions are correct. I'll be honest, I'm kind of tired right now. Like I said, I'm recording this during Survivor Series, so it's definitely getting me very, very tired. But I'm enjoying talking about NXT nonetheless. It was a great freaking show. But yeah, the matchup with Finn Balor and Matt Riddle, I'll be honest, didn't really care that much for it, just because it had to be written together. If this was Finn Balor versus Johnny Gargano, no doubt about it, I would be heart pumping out of my freaking chest. I was really bummed out to hear that Johnny Gargano wouldn't be at this takeover. I was really excited to see what costume or cosplay type attire he had for Finn Balor. Let's see. Finn Balor's a demon. I don't know. Maybe Johnny Gargano would do like Hellboy or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. He mostly does like Marvel cosplays. I don't think Hellboy is Marvel. Oh man, could you imagine that? Hellboy versus Thanos. But yeah, the matchup was great. I just thought I wasn't really that much invested into it just because it had to be rushed. But, I mean, it's nice for Finn Balor to get a win. I have no doubt that when Johnny Gargano is back and they can continue this story, they'll have a great freaking match. And I'm pretty sure Matt Riddle will be fine with a loss to Finn Balor. I mean, it's Finn Balor. I mean, he's lucky he even stood in there in the ring with Finn Balor for that long. But that leads us to our main event. It was the men's War Games matchup. It was the Undisputed Era versus Keith Lee, Dominik Dijakovic, still an annoying name to pronounce, Dominik Dijakovic, Tommaso Ciampa, and mystery fourth partner, Vacant, the former multi-time world champion. Tommaso Ciampa started things off in the ring. He came out, and he had this like really cool mask on that kind of reminded me. At first, it was like a skull mask, but at first it reminded me of Casey Jones from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon. But it was Roderick Strong and Tommaso Ciampa who started things off in the cage. And if you're a fan of my NXT Universe mode that I used to do, you know that Tommaso Ciampa, wearing that face paint on his face and having, like, I think he had a contact in his eye, you know that look for him was basically what I did for him at the end of my NXT Universe mode. I'm just throwing that out there. I know that they were doing their own thing, but it just looked really, really similar to me. And even the ending to this matchup was very similar to the ending that I had for my Universe Mode series that concerned Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. Anyways, enough with the video game talk. Let's get back into the matchup. So, Strong starts things off with Tommaso Ciampa in the cage. They're brawling around, you know. In Undisputed Era, they have the team advantage, so they're allowed to have another member in there. So, things really start to get more difficult for Tommaso Ciampa as another competitor gets into the matchup. So Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong are all in the ring. Or I'm sorry, Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong are in the ring with Tommaso Ciampa. And like Kyle O'Reilly is like holding Tommaso Ciampa against the ropes, and he's got like his arms behind his back, and Strong is just running back and forth and like slamming these elbows into his jaw. And I'm highly doubting that the beard gave Tommaso Ciampa any protection. There was no protected shots in this match. Everything was so brutal. And one of the most brutal aspects of a War Games matchup is you have to basically inflict all this punishment, and even so, you have to wait for everybody to get in the ring for the matchup to start. I do really like that. Some people may have a problem with that rule, but I mean, that could come into play as like an error, because like if it comes to like 2 against 1, and like the rules are like they can pin them before their teammates get in the ring, then their teammates are locked in a cage. If it's a 2-on-1 situation and they just do a whole bunch of double team moves to them, they could easily just win right there and the match would be over in like 5 minutes. But I like this type of War Games match better. But yeah, things really start to get interesting once everyone starts to get more and more into the ring. One man that made one hell of an impact was Keith Lee. Because, like, as soon as he got into the freaking ring, like, the crowd erupted. Just the way that he ran to the ring was like a fucking grizzly bear. He, like, did the chop. He did, like, a leapfrog and a duck down and then, like, a double, like, crossbody to Fish and O'Reilly. He looked like a fucking monster unleashed. And then, once again, the numbers game just started going after their team. Undisputed Era had their team, and Dijakovic and Keith Lee and all them had their team. They were still outnumbered. They still needed one more man. And who was that man going to be? The countdown began. Undisputed Era had everybody else down. The timer went 3, 2, 1. Nobody came out. Complete silence. Undisputed Era. We're all just laughing around. Adam Cole stood on the ground and he just watched. Nothing happen. Nobody was at the arena. Nobody was coming to help Tommaso Ciampa's team. And then it was Kevin Owens in classic Kevin Owens duct tape NXT shirt. I still love that design. I don't know why. It's just such a simple and like cool design. But yeah, Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens came out to help out Team Tommaso Ciampa. I'm guessing after what happened on Monday Night Raw when the Undisputed Era attacked Kevin Owens, he just wanted some payback. So it's very nice to still have that like Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT aspect, even at a Takeover event. So yeah, I thought that was really, really good. But yeah, once Kevin Owens came into the ring, everything started to heat up. Like multiple tables were brought into the ring by Adam Cole earlier, and like they kept like talking, and Adam Cole had a face-off with Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens tried to hit him with a stunner, and then Kevin Owens started hitting crazy moves on everybody else. There was just way too much stuff for me to keep track of. But I'm trying to keep an eye on like all the big moves that happened throughout the matchup. Now, there was a point in the match, like towards the end. There's a whole bunch of tables set up, like Kevin Owens is like tossing people into the cage and stuff like that, and there's a point where Tommaso Ciampa, he hits like a powerbomb lung blower, and then he hits like some double knees to like Strong and Bobby Fish, who are up against like the sides of the cage. So he basically takes everybody out, and then Adam Cole climbs the cage, and then there's like a moment where you're like, oh dear God, they're gonna do something crazy. I predicted that there would be like a freaking power bomb off the top of the cage where like Keith Lee would power bomb Kyle O'Reilly onto everybody like down below. Wasn't exactly what happened. So Keith Lee power bombs Bobby Fish through a table like that was set up. Dijakovic choke slams Roderick Strong through a table, and then Kevin Owens bullfrog splashes Kyle O'Reilly through a table. So that takes out all of them. And then the match ends while Adam Cole is at the top of the cage. Tommaso Ciampa goes up after him. And like Ciampa and Cole are like fighting up by the corner where like the chain is that's like holding up the cage. And this is after everybody else is taken out. This is down to like the final move. And like they're brawling, they're punching each other back and forth, and they start like standing up on the cage, and I'm like, oh dear God, this is gonna be like a direct like replay of what happened with Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano when they fell off the cage through their tables. But no, Ciampa lifts up Adam Cole onto his shoulders and like leverages himself using the chain. And this gave me flashbacks to the end of my universe mode, because the way my universe mode ended was with a huge air raid crash from a high height through some tables. And that's the exact same way this matchup ended. There were two tables set up down below, and Tommaso Ciampa lifted up Adam Cole into an air raid crash. The whole crowd, you could hear the whole crowd go like at an audible like time each of them at the same time just went like, oh dear God, do not fucking do it. And yet he still did it. Somehow kept his balance. I'm very happy that he did. Tommaso Ciampa lifted Adam Cole up into an air raid crash and didn't even jump. He just like fell backwards and they just crashed through the tables and both men looked dead. I mean, Adam Cole's supposed to be facing Pete Dunne for the NXT title, but I mean, I think he's freaking dead. Like, immediately after the matchup was over, Ciampa was laying on top of him, almost lifeless himself, and got the pin. Adam Cole pinned by Tommaso Ciampa. Team Ciampa wins. So, I got all my predictions correct, so I'm very happy for that. But immediately following the matchup, like, they cut to the crowd, and there's, like, a shot of AEW star Britt Baker, who is Adam Cole's girlfriend, or wife, I think. I don't know. I don't pay that much attention to relationships in wrestling. But, yeah, like, they just all looked dead, which is one of those things that I really like about the War Games matchups, when they can, like, give you a visual of, like, how brutal it is. Like, there was that shot at the end of the first War Games matchup with, like, Alexander Wolf. You saw, like, the back of his head was, like, really cut open, like, really bad, and there was, like, all these bodies, like, strewn about. It literally looked like a freaking war zone. And definitely that shot of Tommaso Ciampa and Adam Cole laying there in that wreckage of tables, and everybody, like, there's a pan-over shot of the entire War Games structure, and everybody is just destroyed. They're all laying down on the ground. Like, Roderick Strong is knocked out through a table. Keith Lee is, like, staggering to his feet in the middle of the two rings, and then everybody else, Dijakovic, O'Reilly, Kevin Owens, they're all knocked out on the other side of the ring, on the second ring, and it just looked like both teams just went through a freaking war, and I love that. I just love it so much. This was great. You know, I loved it. The air raid crash, I mean, it was brutal. I'm happy that they did it, and it seems like everyone's okay, because as far as I know, Ciampa and Adam Cole are at Survivor Series tonight, so I'm happy that everybody's okay. I mean, we had Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega in that unsanctioned match, and people thought that went too far. I mean, I guess everybody just has different limits when it comes to things. I mean, that air raid crash from the top of the cage definitely seemed like it was way out of my limit at first, but then I was like, you know what, they're professionals, they know what they're doing. If they thought it was too dangerous, they wouldn't have done it in the first place. But yeah, that was a great freaking match, all around great freaking show. NXT knocked it out of the park again. It's going to be really hard, and this was just 4 matches, and I thought the show was great. It's going to be really hard for Survivor Series to top this show, and I'm really interested to see where all these stories go. We have the Dakota Kai heel turn. There's a storyline going on right now at Survivor Series where, like, Kevin Owens is teasing maybe he will go back to NXT. That'd be pretty cool to see Kevin Owens back in NXT fighting the best, like Kona Reeves and Boa. What am I kidding? But yeah, I'd like to see Kevin Owens back in NXT. Best match of the night, honestly, I would say was the men's War Games matchup. And I know that's kind of a default answer just because it was the main event. But, I mean, the main event delivered. And sometimes it's just how you leave them. And NXT left me very, very happily satisfied tonight. I'll be interested to see where Finn Balor goes from here. It'll be interesting to see when Johnny Gargano gets back, if they continue on with that feud. Like I said, where does Dakota Kai go from here? Does Rhea Ripley win the Women's Championship here or after this? I don't know. We'll see. I'm guessing they're not going to do one of those like recap shows with like the pre-recorded matches because now they do NXT Live. So I guess we'll find out on Wednesday. And I guess we'll find out at the end of the night of Survivor Series who the best team or the best show is, even though we already know it's NXT, at least in WWE. I know some people are still big, huge fans of AEW. But let me know in the comments, what was your favorite matchup from NXT Takeover War Games 2019? Let me know in the comments section. I appreciate you guys very much for watching. I will see you guys at the next Takeover event. I don't know when that is, but either way, I'll be there to talk about it. Thank you for watching, and listening to this Talking Takeover review for War Games 2019.